You have biology, and if I ask why did you select biology, right? I think majority of you have this dream, right? I also had that dream, and I became a medical officer, right? And a doctor and a lecturer and everything, right? So what I want to emphasize here, we want to focus you what you have to do within these 2 years. Now I repeatedly tell, right? Now whatever you do within these 2 years of your life, right, finally will decide whom you are going to be. And your whole life will be decided by these 2 years. Do you agree with me or not? Right? Now, this 2 year period is that much critical, right? So you have a dream, and so how you are going to achieve that dream? How are you going to conquer that dream? You have a dream and you are going to sleep. Is it so? Yes, come. Come. Right. Yeah, right. So you should have a dream, and you should achieve that dream by working on it, right? So how you are going to working on it? You should have a target, right? So what should be your target to achieve that dream? Now your dream will take majority of you want to become a doctor, or in our language we call it medical officer, right? Right. So why do you want to become a doctor? Do you have a reason? You like to you like that character, right? Now there are some advantages of becoming a doctor. Social status, yes. Economical status, yes. And most important thing is you are going to heal patients on your hand. That pleasure, right? That feeling is priceless, right? So at the end of the day, you feel like you feel like you have given the life for many people, right? That so this is a job, this is a occupation, this is a profession that you can have that sort of a feeling. Okay, so keep that in mind, and we'll try to get that target. And to achieve that target, you should have a strategy, right? The number one is you should have a clear idea about what you have to do, right? Before finishing the syllabus, before starting the syllabus, before starting the course, you should have a some kind of idea what I have to study during these 2 years of period, right? And when is the exam? And what is the format of the exam? And what are the things that they will ask? So today, taking very few minutes, I'll brief you, right? What you have to know, what you have to do, the syllabus, and what is the exam format, right? So know it, and you will have to have a study plan for this thing. And while you are learning throughout this course, you have to do repeated revision, practice, 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 practice. More you practice, more you gain. So we are doing that thing in our class, right? We are basically explaining the theory with practical approach, right? And in each and every unit, we are going to have a unit test, which will revise your knowledge and will practice you what are the how to face the exam in MCQ, SCQ, and essay questions, right? Okay. So at last, I want to emphasize this one also, right? Now you have a dream. This is not an easy, right? I am not telling that this is easy going on, right? This is not easy, but can do this, right? There's nothing impossible, as commando regime says, right? Nothing impossible. You can do, but there is a way of doing that. Though it is somewhat difficult thing, don't go on cramming. You should have a healthy life to do anything. You should have uh, the required level of physical exertion, and the most important thing, you should have the required time of sleep, right? Yes, good evening, Pita. So when you are studying the O level, how many hours did you sleep? You 4 hours. For how many months? Last 3 months, 4 months, right? Guys. Right. You 6. Yes. 4 hours. Yes, Puta. Right. Online people also can answer. I am just briefing what you have to do within. Right. So your duty is uploaded. Right. Akmal 6 to 10 hours. Right. So usually now take this as account. Your brain now everything is done with your brain. All you learn, right? All you learn will be yes, computer. Right? All you learn will be deposited in your brain, right? Right. So usual pattern of any exam is you learn. You learn means you deposit the knowledge and facts and scenarios and all the results in your brain. You are going to check that knowledge by your exam. So you go to the exam and now you are going to vomit that to the paper. Right? So that is the business of either biology, either physics, either chemistry. So subject you are going to learn and you are going to write it and recall it and vomit it to the paper, right? For that, your brain should be very healthy. Otherwise, all the things will be deposited, but when you are going to recall it, they are not coming. You can't find it. So sleep is a must. You should have at least 6 hours sleep, sleep, right? And if we are going with our pattern, with our rhythm, right? I'll tell you when we are going to finish the syllabus and all these things. So do some exercise, have a relaxed mind, listen to some music. So okay to watch 1 or 2 dramas per week, not on these all these things, right? Okay, so right, and you have 11 universities to conquer your dream, right? Medical faculties, not universities. These are the universities which are there, which have the state medical faculties, right? And assume that, if, right, some of you, now, usually 42,000 students are sitting for the exam, right? You know that in which syllabus, right? So 42,000 students will sit with biology, chemistry, and physics in your stream, in your 3 subjects. Out of that, how many students will enter the medical faculty and will become doctors, right? Roughly 2,000. So it is about 5%, right? This is achievable, right? But you can't go and sleep. You sleep, you sleep for 6 hours, you are left with 18 hours, and you should be very clever and wise in managing that 18 hours effectively and productively, right? So from today onwards, your target should be not to enter into this 5% group, not to enter. Then what should be the target? What the math is saying, right? I'm, so if you want to enter to this 5% group, this 2,000 student group, you should have a target very, very sharp than 5%. So your target should be you become Candy. Ah, sorry, the sound was muted. For how many minutes now? Mute sound, right? Okay. I hope now you can hear me. Sorry that it's a technical default. Still you can't hear me? Yes, Shadia. Now we have unmuted the thing. Ah, now you can. Right. Okay. Sorry. Sorry for the inconvenience. Right. Okay. So what we were discussing is how to take your target. Don't take the target in life at any time. If you want to achieve something, don't take it as the target. Right? Don't take it as a target. You get a target much more sharp and much more narrow than that, much more distant than that. Right? So all of you, my students, who are learning biology with me, right? I'll guarantee you, if you work with me, if you work with me, if you uh, work according to my advice, you have to sacrifice some, right? So I'll give you the guidance. So you can get more than 95 marks. You can get, right? But from today onwards, you have to work, right? So don't go and tell the others, hey, Machan, do you know who is the district first this time? It's me. And keep that in your mind and remind that target every day morning when you worship the God, worship whatever your religion, you remind that your target also, right? Then only this will become now. If I am going to become the district first, what I am going to do today, right? So everything will be based on that target. Every other things will be decided according to that target. So keep that in mind, right? And we'll work on it. And I'll hope you, right? I wish and I hope district and island rankers will be produced from my biology class, right? Okay, right. So a little bit more, right? Right. So finally, before we start this thing, I'll give you some basic idea about uh, the things that you have to do. You have 10 lessons in your syllabus, right? In biology, you have 10 lessons, and these 10 lessons has to be done within how many months? When is your exam going to be held? In 2027. Which month? Should be August, right? Now the COVID and all this backlog is finishing, right? Most probably this year they will hold the exam on September, likewise, and from 2026 it will be August, right? So in 2027 August, you are going to sit for the exam, right? To enter the medical faculty, yeah, right? So how many months we have left with? For 2 years we have 24 months plus April, May, June, July, 4, right? So altogether we have 28 months, because we are starting with usually any science stream, they start just after the exam without waiting for the results, right? Now, in these 28 months, we are going to finish the exam in 22 months, right? And we are left with another 6 months, which we will do rapid revision, right? Now we are finishing the syllabus by 22 months it doesn't mean that we are going to rush. We are going to explain the things in hurry. No, we slowly will teach you the difficult, so-called difficult and doubtful things. Now biology is a very beautiful subject, right? You can see basically what is biology. You have on this earth, you have two group of things. One group is they don't have a life. They are non-living things. And all other things are living things. So you have seen human beings, you have seen these all the plants, right? Animals, monkeys, everything. So what you have learned, what you have seen in your life, you are going to learn about them bit scientifically, right? That's all about biology, right? So we will go in this manner, right? Okay, are you ready? Right. So now we'll start learning biology, starting with, right, 30 months, right? Okay, right. So now I told you we have 10 lessons, right? So we'll have a brief idea about what are those 10 lessons, a brief idea, right? Then now within these 2 years of time, we have to do this thing, right? Okay, right. So the first lesson is introduction to biology, right? So that is the smallest and simplest lesson in this 10 lessons, right? So that will give you some idea about what is biology and what are the things and issues related to biology in this world, right? That means now this may be the smallest and simplest one, but you can have at least one or two MCQs and sometimes a part of uh, the structured essay questions also. And on the very first year, which the new syllabus was introduced in 2017, they have asked a essay question also, right? So we will not miss any part, right? Because our target is get at least more than 95 marks. For that, we are not neglecting any small things, right? So you are going to learn about uh, the biology, some introduction about the biology from the very first lesson, right? So this is about 1% from the whole syllabus, right? Now the second one will be about the cell, second lesson, right? It is about the cell. In your ordinary level, O levels, you have learned about the cell. Are you? Right? Can you remember that it is the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? So any bioorganism, any living thing is made up of cells, either one cell or either a large number of cells, multicellular organism, right? So in this unit, you are going to learn about the structure, the chemistry, and the function of the cell, right? Now, there are some basic, those are not rules or laws, but the basic patterns of one of the basic, you can call it a law, right? Law in biology is what you learn here is structure and function of anything, any living thing, right? Either one, two, three plants, you take animals, you take uh, a cell, you take protein, you take enzyme, you take hormone, you take heart, you take stomach, you take brain, whatever the thing. Basically, what you learn is what is the structure, how it is made up of, the structure, anatomy, and what is the function of it. How does it work, or what is the main function, main target of action, right? So those two are the ones that you are going to learn in biology, structure and function. So in unit 2, you are going to learn about the cell, right? So usually from the syllabus, the Janoke is messaging with me badly. What is this? Now everyone online, guys, you should be strict with the class, right? No one can message with each other. You should have a self discipline, right? Okay. So uh, this one, the second unit is basically it is about 12%, right? Now I'll let you know to write and all these things, because you should. It's good to have a idea about the length and the capacity of the units also, right? Unit 1, unit 2, and unit 3, right? Usually the percentages that I am telling you today is proportionate or synchronized with the percentage of the exam paper also, right? It's not a hard and fast rule, but usually it is similar. So in the cell, if I am telling that about 12%, so usually in the paper also 12% of the questions will be basically from the marks will be from the unit 2, likewise, right? So unit 3 is evolution and diversity of the organisms, right? Now, you know, I told you that every organism is made up of a cell, either one cell or lot of cells. Now, very, very early ancient times of Earth, the Earth was originated about how many billions years ago? In all years, did they told you?
3.6.
4.6, right? And the life was originated about 3.5 billion years ago. And you know what? Who is the first organism originated on Earth? It's a simple cell, which at least it doesn't have a organized nucleus even. Therefore, they were called as prokaryotics, right? Don't worry about these things, right? You will learn all these things, right? Now, 3.5 billion years ago, the world on this Earth, unicellular organisms originated, and after these billions of years came with the time. And what about the world today? You have billions of species, right? Hell a lot of organisms on this Earth, right? So in this unit, you are going to learn this story, how the unicellular organism originated on Earth and how it came to today's world, right? That is the evolution, that story of developing and producing so much of varieties of plants, animals, microorganisms, and all these things. That is the story of evolution. And then if you get a cross section today, what is the variety or the differences in the plant kingdom, differences in the animals, differences in the microorganisms, that all the grouping, and we grouped all the organisms that we have today, and then we get an idea, basic idea about all the organisms. That is the diversity of organisms, right? So we will learn all these things in unit number 3. It is bit smaller. It is about 7%, right? Then in unit 4, you are going to learn about plants, right? Now, plants are very, very important group of organisms on this earth. If there is no plants on this earth, no other organisms also, right? We get our energy and carbon production all these things from the plants. So in this unit, right? So when you are learning the grouping of organism, you have five kingdoms, and one of the kingdom is plant. So you will learn the categorization of plant kingdom and the basic structure of this plant. Very easy, very fun learning these things, right? Not difficult. Okay, so that is about 9% of the syllabus, right? Then comes the unit number 5, which is about animal form and function. So here you are going to learn basically, though the name comes as animal form and function, basically you are going to learn about the human being, our body, our structure, right? So we are going to learn the structure and function of our body, right? This is, Pute, this is the biggest unit in your 10 unit, 10 lesson syllabus. This accounts for about 31%. That means one third of this whole syllabus is from this unit. And from the question wise also, in the exam wise also, one third of the questions and one third of the marks will be given from the questions coming from the human biology part. Right? So this is very interesting learning about these things, right? So you feel like now already became doctors when you learn these things, right? Right. So that is the next one. Number 6 is about the genetics. Have you heard of genetics? Have you learned some basic things in genetics in all levels? Right. You know, now genes are the ones who are responsible for our characteristics, right? So my mother and father, their characteristics came to me through the genes, right? So in this unit, you will learn about the basic laws, Mendelian laws, and all these things, basic theories of how the characteristics or the features are inherited from one generation to the next generation through the genes, right? And their pattern and all these things will be learned, and it is about 8% of the whole syllabus, right? Then it comes the molecular biology and DNA recombinant technology, right? It's bit advanced unit. You know, now the scientists are able to manipulate these genes, and they can remove unnecessary genes, and they can add their wanted ones and economical, which are important in economical production or whatever the thing, and some are related to the diseases and some are related to the treatments and making the antibiotics and all these things, right? So how the DNA sequence and the genes are manipulated by the scientists will be learned from this unit, right? So this is about 11% of the syllabus, right? And the eighth one is about the environment biology, right? So, you know, I told you that on this earth, you have two parts, the living organisms and non-living things. Now, can living organisms or all the bioorganisms, can they live along without the support or without the interaction with the non-living environment? No, there should be a balance, right? So all the living organisms are in connection, in interaction with the non-living environment, the water, soil, air, gases, and all these things, right? So that interaction is learned. How important that interactions are biological wise is learned in the environment biology, right? So that is about 8% again. And the ninth one, one before the last one, is the microbiology. So in unit number 4, you are going to learn. Now, if you look at from your naked eye in the world, right? Now, living organisms, you can even a very small Montessori student can divide the living organisms into two, plants and animals, right? So those are the two major kingdoms which we can see through our naked eye, right? So we learn about the plants in unit 4. We learn about the animals and basically the human being in unit number 4, unit number 5. right? And there are some organisms which you can't see from your naked eye, and you have to use some instruments like microscope to enlarge and visualize them. Those are called as, those organisms are called as microorganisms, right? So in this unit, Pute, you are going to learn about microorganisms, right? Some are very helpful for us, and some are harmful for us, right? So all these things you are going to learn, right? Can you remember that COVID-19, right? How many, more than 4 lakhs of people died by a very small virus, right? Okay, the last one is the applied biology, right? Applied biology means the knowledge of biology and all these things are used to economical things and all these things, and how the biologic knowledge is used in industrial field is learned in applied biology, and that is about 6%, right? Okay, now these are
நம்பிக்கை போட்டுச்சு நீங்க
okay,
பெரிய நஷ்டத்துல விழுந்துட்ட
then
நீங்க
we have
பயோ கிளாஸ் வாரத்துல வாரத்துல
okay,
இங்க போறதுல
I very good
ஒர்க்
to the
ஷாப் போறதுல என்ன சரி
right, clear. Okay,
சரி
so we
சரி
start learning biology.
சரி
Put it down. Okay, you take your notes,
நான் ஒர்க் ஷாப் போறதான்
uh,
தாசன்
send that tute again.
இங்க போற 5 நாள்
Switch off your microphone. Who is unmuted? Right. I hope that all the online students will behave with self-discipline. Right. Right. So, right. Unit number 1 is Introduction to Biology. Unit number 1 is Introduction to Biology. It is about 1%. You write the percentages also. These are not very accurate levels, but 99% this is true. This is my analysis. Right? This is not given any in any textbook or anything, right? So number 2 is chemical and cellular basis of life. Chemical and cellular basis of life. So we are filling the note in page number 1. How can I get this recording from YouTube? Right. So you contact the institute number and they will help you, and we have uploaded the tute again, right? So uh, Pahar, we have uploaded it. I hope you can see that. Right. So number 2 is chemical and cellular basis of life, and that accounts for about 12% of the syllabus. Right. If you have any questions, you ask me. Right. You have. Right. And I want to tell you from this instance, right? Now, when you are learning biology, you can't buy hard biology. It's impossible. You can buy hard Quran, you can buy hard Pirit Potter, and all these things, but not biology. Biology, you have to understand, right? So when I am teaching, when you are learning, if something is doubtful, if something is not understood well, you have to ask me. Right? So I'll help you to. I'll teach you again in different method with different strategies. Right. So remember during this 2 years time, every concept, every fact, every scenario that we learn in biology have to be understood very crystal clearly. Okay, right? So no worries. Don't think that if I ask this question, it will be a silly question and I will be embarrassed. Don't think like that, right? All are silly students, right? So don't think that you are the only silly student. You ask any silly question, right? I'll give you a silly answer also, right? Okay. So this is about 12%. Number three, unit number three is evolution and diversity of organisms. Evolution and diversity of organisms. Evolution and diversity of organisms, that accounts for 7%. That accounts for 7%. Right. Number four, it's plant form and function. Plant form and function. Plant form and function. And that accounts for 9%. Accounts for 9%. And this is the biggest one. This is the biggest one of number five. Not only the biggest one, this is the most important one. This is important for your O level, sorry, A levels, and even after A levels when you enter the medical faculty, right? So that is animal form and function. Now, this unit, Pute, you have two parts. The first part will be taught in grade 12, and the second part or the latter part will be learned, will be taught on grade 13. So, animal form and function part 1 is there, within bracket you write the part 1. It is there in grade 12. So that accounts for about 16% for the part 1, right? So the next section is grade 13. Now grade 13 also starts with animal form and function part 2. Animal form and function part 2. So that accounts for about 16%. Sorry, yes. The grade 12 is 15% and this one is 16%. Altogether 31%, right? Grade 12 part is 15 and this one is 16%, right? So altogether unit 5 is 31%. And you, right? Okay. Oh, right. So unit number 6 is genetics. That is about genetics, and that is about 8%. Then unit number 7 is molecular biology and DNA recombinant technology.
Sir, what's unit 6 again?
Molecular biology and DNA recombinant technology. So that unit accounts for about 11%, Pute, right? 11%. Number 8 is environmental biology. Environmental biology. That accounts for about 8%. Number 9, microbiology, which you learn about the microorganisms which you can't see from your naked eye, microbiology, and that accounts for 7%. That accounts for 7%. Right? The last one is applied biology. Applied biology. That accounts for about 6% today. 6%. Right. So now you have a good idea about what you have to do in your A levels, right? So these are the 10 units that you have to learn during the 24-month period, right? Okay. Now we'll start learning biology, right? Unit number 1, we are going to learn about biology, and we are going to learn the very basic things about the field of biology, right? Okay. Now, what do you mean by biology? Have you heard any other logies? This logy, that logy, this logy? Right? What do you mean by logy? What are the other logies that you have heard? Sorry? Zoology, yes, good. Microbiology, yes. Astrology, zoology learns about the animals. Microbiology learns about the microorganisms. Astrology learns about stars and planets and all these things, right? What else? Psychology, very good, right? Learn about the mind, the deviations of mind. We also tell that that person, that machang, take it a psycho. You know, right? So psycho means mind, learning about mind. So logi means pute study, right? Logi means you study of something. What you study, what you learn comes as the preface, right? So if you learn about the mind, it is psychology likewise, right? So logi means study. You can see the doctors, there are some specialist doctors, neurology, neurologist. What do you mean by neurology? Learn about the nerves. Gastroenterology, that means he is the specialist doctor who is specialized in gastrointestinal system. You have the cardiologist. He is the consultant or specialized in what? Heart, cardiovascular system, right? Likewise. So that is the study. Then, what do you mean by bio? Life. Yes. Now, this is very interesting. Now, my question is, what is life? Bio means life. Then, what is life? How do you explain or define, elaborate life? In Western scientific side, still we are, believe me, still we have no definite clarification or definition, accurate definition about life, right? So I told you, everything that you can see on this world can be divided into two. Some are living, some are non-living. So how do you differentiate? As she said, these living ones are having life. You feel that, no? These ones are having a life. These wall or this board or these light, water, they don't have a life, right? So you have some basic feeling that these ones are having the life and these ones are not having the life. So life means, now, if sometimes in your exam paper, as a very small structured essay questions, they can ask define life, 3 marks. So what we are going to do? Right. There is no definition. There is a definition. You know what is the definition? Definition is we don't have a definition. That is the definition, right? So what you say, right? How you define life is now we can sometimes if in our primary school, if the teacher asks to tell something and if you don't know that thing, we are going on explaining that thing in using the fancy words like that. Right? So this is also now we are going to explain like that. We are going to tell 3 things when we are defining life. Number one, we are going to tell it. It is something special and unique. It is something special and unique. Number two, which cannot be explained by our other 2 subjects. What is our other 2 subjects? Chemistry and physics, right? So biology is something unique and special, which cannot be explained by laws of LAWS, laws of physics and chemistry. Now the physics, they have laws and theories. In chemistry, they have laws and theories and they have some equalizations and reactions and everything is there. Everything can be proven. But this life, we say, as biologists, we say, you can write equations and all these things, but you can't define our life. So that is the definition, right? Okay. So definition is, it is something unique and special which cannot be explained by the laws or theories of physics and chemistry, right? So this is how we start biology, the basic things. Bio means life, logy means study. So in these 2 years, we are going to learn the life. We are going to study the life and the things which contain a life. Okay? Right. So take your note. Oncology, physiology, living, yes, good. Right. Right. In your note, page number 2. Right. I hope all the online guys also have downloaded the tute. We've uploaded it twice in the same chat. Right. So what is biology? What is biology? So that is, right? So write it. The science which is focused on studying the living organisms. Studying the living organisms. Right? So that is biology. So biology means studying of living organisms. Bios means life. Bios means life. And logos means study of. Study of. Right? Okay. So definition of life. Life, it is very difficult to define, right? Still there is no acceptable definition for life, but we define it like this, right? Now, there are some, now when you learn the biology, you have to learn some of the definitions and some of the facts and theories, right? Now, when you learn any definition or a scenario, a theory, right, you should remember the important points in that, right? So when I am teaching a theory, right, what I am doing is I am emphasizing the points. How many points are there? So you have to remember that points. And then if you can remember, now you can't remember a set of phrase or a set of large sentence or few sentence by heart. Don't try to remember like that. you remember the important points, right? So when I'm giving you the definition, sometimes I will break it to the points. If it contains 4 points, I will give it in 4 sentences. That means 4 lines, not sentences, 4 lines. So remember that points and then write that in your own words, in your own language. Biology is not a thing that you have to cram the resource book and you have to write everything in according to the way of printed in the resource book. No, there is nothing like that, right? And everything that is there in the resource book is there in my tute, right? So if all my tutes are followed up, you don't want to read anything, right? Everything that the exam paper will ask, everything will be there in my note. It's okay to read. There are some special chapters which I advise not to read in the resource book because it is that much confusing. For example, photosynthesis. Never read photosynthesis in resource book because uh, I'm also getting confused when reading that thing. At the middle, it says something else, and at the end, it says about the initial part, and likewise, right? So everything is included to my note. You keep my note, study my note, and keeping based on my note, you should practice answering the questions, right? Okay, right. So life definition, here you have 3 points. In the first line, you write it. It is something special and unique. It is something special and unique. It is something special and unique. Second line, which cannot be explained by. Which cannot be explained by which cannot be explained by what? Using the laws of physics and chemistry. Using the laws of physics and chemistry. Sorry. Using the laws of physics and chemistry. Right? Okay. Right. So basically, now biology is a huge subject, right? Most of the scientists are working on different aspects and different corners, right? So for the convenience of studying the biology, we basically divide the whole syllabus of biology, or not the syllabus, but the whole the field of biology into 3 subcategories, right? So you have 3 subcategories in biology. One thing is, as she said earlier, it is the zoology. Zoology means study. Logy means studying. Zoology means studying about animals. Then you have botany. Botany means studying about plants. These two, of course, we can see from the naked eye, and there are some organisms which you can't see. Part is called as microbiology. Right? So here you learn about the animals, and in botany you learn about the plants, And in microbiology, you learn about the microorganisms. Right? So those are the basic three branches of biology. Right? So in the note, you complete it. Right? Biology completes. It's a complex and a vast subject for the convenience studying of studying three primary branches. Yeah, zoology is the study of animals, right? Botany is study of plants, and microbiology is study of microorganisms. Right? Okay. Now these are the three branches. No. Now there are some areas in biology which have some sub specialities, right? So one thing is you learn about the cell, that is called as cell biology, right? So as you know, now every organism is made from a either one cell or many cells, unicellular or multicellular, right? So there are some scientists, there are some people who learn about the cell only, right? Cellular level, subcellular level, how the nucleus works, how the mitochondria works, and how the internal metabolic reactions are working on inside the cell, and what are the intercellular interactions. Likewise, you learn about the characteristics, the structure, and the function of the cell. That area of biology is called as cell biology, right? You don't want to write this. We'll come to that later. Just understand these are there are some 7 areas of biology, right? Then a few cells or large number of cells get together, merge together, and they function for a, they act for a common function or task. That sort of a collection of cells are called as a tissue, right? You know, cells. Now, you have connective tissue, right? You have nerves tissue. So there are set of cells working for a common task. Those are called as tissues, right? So there are some scientists who study on tissues. They take one kind of tissues and they study the normal pattern and the difference. That area is called as histology, which is a very important area. Have you seen this board, histology, in the hospital? There, in the hospital, Pute, you have a different department called histology or histopathology, right? Now, the importance of this thing is, for example, assume that, ah, girls, what is the most commonest cancer of ladies? Sorry? Not in Sri Lanka. Breast cancer, right? Skin cancer is common in European countries where you don't have enough melatonin in your skin, and they go on sunbathing to get more warmth because of low temperature, and they are exposed to UV radiation in the sunlight, and they can get uh, skin cancers. But here in Sri Lanka, majority of the people have a dark skin like me, and we are resistant to UV radiation, and we don't get skin cancer as much, right? Breast cancer is the most commonest one, right? Now, how do you detect this is a breast cancer or not? First time, first, the patient notices. Now, these are not medicine, no, these are not biology, right? These are very basic things that every lady should know in this country. Though that is why they are teaching these things in school syllabus. You learn about how to check breast cancer by your own in your health subject. No, teacher didn't taught it, right? So there is a way of, now I'm not going to details. I'll teach it in a different occasion, right? So there is a way every woman, either she's a housewife, either she is a professor in economics or medicine or whatever the thing, right? You should, it should be a practice in your daily life, at least in once in month or once in a week, when you are having a bath, you should check for any uh, right, if any right, right, got the tooth, right? So you should check whether you have any lumps. Now divide the breast into four parts, in this plane and in this plane, right? Right? And you press it against the chest wall. In your, you have the bony chest wall with ribs. You press it like this, press it like this, and the four quadrants are checked. If you can feel any lump, that is a suspicious one, right? So when you're having a bath once in a week, or once a month, not having the bath in once in a week, but you 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 are having the bath every day, but you should check for your breast once in month is enough, right? You check it like this. So if you, in one day, if you feel any suspicious node like thing, lump like thing, then you should seek for medical advice. Majority of the lumps that you have in your breast are benign. That means they are not cancers, right? About 80 to 85%, they are not cancers. Only 15% will become cancer, right? So the medical officer, now when we get a patient like that, we put the patient on bed, and we also examine the patient whether they are having a lump or not. If we also feel a lump, we do a ultrasound scan and reconfirm the node, and sometimes we get a biopsy hold, right? So we insert a needle and get a part from that node and send it to a lab. That lab is histology lab. So what they are examining is, they know the normal breast tissue, right? They know when a normal breast tissue is sent to them, they examine it under the microscope after coloring with so many pigments. They see, they study the normal pattern. If there is any variation, they know. If it is a cancer, they know the features or the characteristics of cancer. So they send the report whether this is a normal lump, which is benign, or they send this is a carcinoma. If it is a cancer, there are grades of cancer, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and there are some types of cancers. There are various types of cancers, right? Everything is sent from this one. So it is another part of biology which they studies about tissues, right? So we are thinking about the areas connected to the biology, right? Number one is cell biology, which learns about the cell. And there is another category called learn about the histology, right? And then there is another one which we learn about the gross structure, right? Anatomy. What do you mean by anatomy? Now, when you learn about the cell, you can't observe the cell from your naked eye. You have to use the microscope, either light microscope or electron microscope or anything, right? In the histology, yes, again, you have to use the light microscope or the compound microscope, and you have to enlarge and color it and see it, right? Now, there is another field where you examine, you learn the structure by looking at your naked eye. That is anatomy. So you get a body, dead person, dead body, and you cut it, and you learn how the heart is there, what are the chambers, and how they are made, and you learn about the nervous system, how they are originating from the central nervous system, from the brain and the spinal cord, and how the brachial plexus and all the nerves goes along, and how the muscles are attached, what are the insertion and the fixation and all these patterns of muscles and everything, the brain, the liver, kidneys, everything you cut and see, dissect and see. That field is called anatomy, right? So when you enter the medical faculty, for the very first 2 years, you will learn about normal human being, right? In the first 2 years, you will learn. Now, you are going to become doctors when you enter the medical faculty, no? Right? So before you learn about the diseases and how to identify the diseases and how to treat that, before you learn those things, in first 2 years, you are going to learn the normal human being, normal structure of the human being, normal function of the human being, normal chemical reactions that happens within the human being. Those three subjects you are going to learn in the first 3 years, right? So you will be given one dead body for about, now if you are entered to the Farade medical faculty, usually you one batch will contain about 200 students, right? So there will be about 15 body groups. One body group will have 15 medical students, and for 15 medical students, one body is given, right? So you have to cut that thing for the whole 2 years, right? Keep in the same body. Nothing will happen. You apply all these chemicals daily, and you have to look after that thing, right? After dissection, you have to apply all these things and put a cover and go. Likewise, you have the dissection room, right? And there are about 20 dead bodies arranged like this. So every 15 group will cut this thing surrounding the body, right? So that learning about the gross structure, cutting this thing, is called as anatomy. And then you learn about the normal function of the human being. That is the physiology. Then you learn about the normal chemical reactions that happens in the liver, in the gastric area, or in the renal functions, in the respiration. Everything is learned as biochemistry. Right? We have two more areas. The other one is the genetics, as we discussed. Right? In genetics, what we learn, how the features or the characteristics of one generation is inherited to the next generation by the through the genes. So that is the area of genetics. And then you learn about the environment. That is called as ecology. Right? So these are the some basic areas of biology related to biology. Right? Now they will not ask define histology, define anatomy, but have a rough basic idea. There are some areas like this in biology. That's enough. Okay, right? Right? Hmm. So take your note. Uh, Page number 3. In cell number 1, cell biology. That means studying about the cell. Within bracket, studying about the cell. Online students, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Right? When I get down from the blackboard, I'll see it and I'll answer anything. Right? Okay. And histobiology is studying of tissues. Studying of tissues. And anatomy is studying about gross structure of the body. Gross structure of the body. At the end, this is the old one. Take this one. So anatomy is studying about the growth structure, right? And the physiology is studying of the function. Physiology is studying of the function. I mean, collection of tissue is organ, yes. So we will learn those things at the end of this unit as the hierarchy of organisms, organization, right? Okay, I mean, that's correct. Right. Physiology is studying of the function, and biochemistry is studying of biological molecules. Studying of biological molecules. There is a chemistry inside us. Right? Sorry, genetics, study of inheritance. Study of inheritance. And ecology means study of environment. Study of environment. Right. So now, do you have any questions up to now? Right? These are very basic things. Now we are going to learn a bit important topic. Okay. So now we are going to learn today about some issues. Right? Issues or events related to biology. Right? So we are going to learn about 7 issues or events on this earth which is directly related to the biology, and it is very important for human population, the culture and everything, right? Okay, right. So number one concept that we are going to learn which is related to biology is biodiversity. Biodiversity. Now what do you mean by biodiversity? Have you heard the word biodiversity? Right? So what do you feel? What do you mean by diversity? Biodiversity. Now, have you heard? We proudly tell that Sri Lanka is so much rich in biodiversity, but we are very poor in economy, right? Isn't it? Right? But though we are so much poor with economy, and but we are very rich in biodiversity. What do you mean by this biodiversity? What do you mean by diversity? Karaduna, come on, it's okay. Just, just tell me your gut feel. Yes, yes, the difference, the variety. Now, if you take this class, each and everyone is different, differ from the other one. So that is the diversity, right? The variety. Diversity means variety. Among whom? Bioorganisms. So biodiversity means, right? I told you that the uh, the world of bioorganisms, or the first cell, first organism originated on Earth about 3.5 billion years ago as a one cellular organism, right? So within this 3.5 billion years time period, this unicellular organism evolved, and so much of different types of organisms originated on Earth and came to the point where we see today. We have different types of plants, different types of animals, different types of microorganisms, and there are so many bioorganisms, types of species on this earth. The scientists believe that they have about 10 to 100 millions of species, not individual organisms. Right? We have not identified each and every organism on this earth, but we guess there should be about 10 to 100 millions of species. So each of these are having so much of differences in between each other. So that difference, that variety among bioorganisms are known as biodiversity. Got it? Very simple. Right. Now, these biodiversity, there are three types of biodiversity. Three types of biodiversity. Right? One type is called as species biodiversity. What do you mean by that? Species biodiversity. So what I am explaining, there is a concept called biodiversity. That means the bioorganisms are different to each other. So if you elaborate more on this topic, there you can identify three types of differences, so the variety. One thing is called as the species diversity. Species diversity means, biodiversity means today, now, when you look at the species, can you differentiate a dog from a monkey? Can you differentiate a monkey from a cow? Can you differentiate a cow from a donkey? And can you differentiate a donkey from a human being? Right? So likewise, when you see different species are different to each other. It's a gross difference. You get a dog and myself, and you can grossly differentiate that dog and myself is different. So that diversity, that sort of diversity is called as species biodiversity. Right? Okay. Now you get same species. You get a bunch of dogs. In the same species, you take Rottweiler, right? You take 10 Rottweiler. Is each and everyone is similar to everyone? No. There are some differences. Now you get a bunch of human beings here. Now, are you look similar? No, you have so many differences. So, if you take the organisms or individuals in the same species, still you have the variety. So, the variety that you can see among the individuals in the same species is called as genetic biodiversity. Genetic biodiversity. Right? Got it? The last one. Now, there are some ecosystems on this earth. I told you that organisms cannot live individually without having any relationship or interaction with the environment, right? All the organisms are living in connection with the non-living environment, right? So that connection and relationships all are known as the environment, and there are some ecosystems in on Earth. Basically, this is not for your syllabus, but for your understanding, right? To take a ecosystem, basically the ecosystems can be divided into two broad categories. One thing is the terrestrial ecosystem, and the other one is the aquatic ecosystem. What do you mean by terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem? Terrestrial means, yes, terrestrial on land, aquatic in the water, right? So if you take the ecosystem on Earth, either some of the ecosystems are there in water, the other ecosystems are on land, right? These are very basic things that will be taught in grade 8 or 9, right? So what are the, now tell me two ecosystems that you can include into the aquatic category. That means water. Two ecosystems. In the sea, you have the marine ecosystem, and in land you have the fresh water, right? So if you go to the fish stall, right? The marine fish, you can see these talapatna, balaya, and all these things are there, tuna, right? Those fish came from the marine ecosystem. And there are some stalls which comes from the fresh water, tilapia, lula, right? Likewise, you have. So those organisms coming from different ecosystems. They are the everything, temperature, the saltiness, everything, right? Difference. And the type of organisms live in those ecosystems are also different, right? So any terrestrial ecosystems on land, is the every place is similar on land? No, there are some. What are the things? There are some forests which you have a lot of trees and water and temperature, cool temperature and everything, forest. And there are some grasslands, and sometimes you have deserts, right? Likewise, on this earth, there are some different ecosystems. They are the organisms, the trees, the microorganisms, and the animals. Everyone has a gross difference between two ecosystems, right? The organisms which live in rainforests are totally different from organisms and the plants or everything lives in a grass forest, and they are different to the deserts. So likewise, there is a variety, there is a difference in bioorganisms depending on the ecosystem. That diversity is called ecosystem biodiversity. Understood? Clear? Right. These things they have asked in the structured essay questions. Write down the or briefly mention types of biodiversity. Before that question, they ask, what is biodiversity? Number one. Number two, briefly explain three types of diversity. Right? Did you understand this thing? Very simple. Diversity means a variety of organisms, the variety between the organisms. Right? So three types. Sometimes the difference or the variety is there in between species, in between species. That is, what is that biodiversity? Species biodiversity. You tell with me, open your mouth for your answers only, right? So what is that? The variety in between the species, that is which biodiversity? Species, very good, species biodiversity. In the same species also you have a variety in between the individuals. That biodiversity is genetic biodiversity. And if you consider the ecosystem, the whole set of organisms living in one ecosystem is different to the organisms living in another ecosystem. That biodiversity is called as ecosystem biodiversity, right? So you learn everything about biodiversity, which is there in your syllabus, right? Okay, that is the number one that you learn about the. Now what we are discussing, issues related to the biology, right? Number one is this one. Okay, shall we complete that thing and we'll go to the second issue, right? Any questions? No, right? Online students, do you have any question? Right. Okay, so page number 5. Yes, right. Issues pertaining to biology. Now, biological diversity. The definition of biological diversity is variety of all living beings. Diversity means variety of all living beings. You write variety of all living beings and their interactions. Variety of all living beings and their interactions. So our planet is rich in diversity, and life on Earth formed years ago. How many years ago? 3.5 billion years ago. 3.5 billion years ago. And first formed organisms are heterotrophic, anaerobic, and prokaryote. All these things you will learn later, but I hope that you should have a basic idea about these definitions from your O-level knowledge. You know what you mean by heterotrophic? What do you mean by heterotrophic? Depending on another organism. Now we are heterotrophic, right? We depend on others. Why? How do we depend on? When we need energy, what we do? We go and eat either burger or rice or meat or plant or whatever thing. We eat and get the energy. So we are heterotrophic. When the plants need energy, what they do? They are called as autotrophic. They get the energy from sunlight. They absorb the energy in the light and convert that energy into a chemical energy and store it in a fruit, in a stem, in a tuber, or whatever the thing, and we eat that thing. So they are autotrophic. So the first organism originated on Earth are not autotrophic. So plants, how they become autotrophic? They practice the photosynthesis. No, that process is the one where the light energy is captured and transferred to the chemical energy. But the first organisms, which about 3.5 billion years ago, the first organism that originated on Earth is a heterotrophic one. So what they do is that cell absorbed the energy or the other bioorganic molecules from the ocean, from the soil. It's called the sap of soup, right? So bioorganisms were rich in those days in the ocean. So they absorb from the environment or from the water, surrounding water. So therefore they are heterotrophic. At that era, there were no oxygen, very little amount of oxygen on atmosphere and the ocean. Why? There were no plants. There were no one to practice the photosynthesis. There were no one to produce oxygen. So the very first organisms, they were not depending on oxygen. Therefore, they get their energy by without oxygen. Therefore, they are anaerobic. If they generate the energy by using the oxygen, they are called as aerobic. Are we aerobic or anaerobic? Aerobic, right. So the first organism were heterotrophic, anaerobic, and prokaryotic. What do you mean by prokaryotic? What are the two types of cells that you have considered in the organization of the cell? Prokaryotic and eukaryotic. How do you differentiate prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells? Sorry? Yes. Now, eukaryotic means you have an organized nucleus surrounded by a nuclear envelope, and you have the nucleus, and inside that you have the DNA or chromatic material. This is eukaryotic. If this is a prokaryotic one, now these cells originated very later, but at the initial stage, they just had a plasma membrane and they had some of the biomolecules like proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids, phospholipids, and they had the genetic material, right, freely on the cytoplasm. They are not organized into a special structure called nucleus, right? They were freely embedded in the cytoplasm. So these type of organisms, which first originated, called as prokaryotic cells, right? So prokaryotic, heterotrophic, and anaerobic cells are the ones who originated very early. These things you will learn in unit number 3 also, right? In the evolution process. Right. So we are discussing about the biodiversity. Now they assume that there are about how many species in the world? They assume that you have 10 to 100 millions of species. 10 to 100 or 10 million to 100 million species in the world. Species in the world. Nias, excuse me, sir, how to get this recording? Yes, you can get this recording from the institute. I think you have the number in the institute in the group. You give a call and they will help you to get the recording, right? You can get it. Right. So 10 to 100 million species in the world. And there is a dynamic relationship between the living world and the inanimate world. We discussed it. And each and every organism has a specific role in the environment for the existence of the biosphere. Right. So three types of biodiversities are there. What are those? Species biodiversity, genetic biodiversity, and ecosystem biodiversity. Write it. Number one, species biodiversity, genetic biodiversity, and ecosystem biodiversity. Right. So number one, species diversity. What do you mean by species diversity? Biological variation. Biological variation. Biological variation in between species. Biological variation in between species. Okay. That is the species biodiversity. So what do you mean by the genetic biodiversity? That is the biological variation, biological variation that occurs, that occurs, biological variation that occurs within the species, within the species. Right? So species biodiversity means in between species. Genetic means within the species. This is an MCQ, right? So the third one is the ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity, that is the variation found in between ecosystems. Variations found in between ecosystems. Variations found in between ecosystems. Right. Okay. Right. Number one, we completed. Then the second one, what we are discussing? We are discussing the, hey, listen to this one. Now, more you talk, more you distract, right? If you have any questions, you can ask from me. Otherwise, you will not understand these scenarios, right? So what we are discussing is the issues related to the biology. Number one, biodiversity, we completed. Now, number two is understanding the human body. I told you that some of the scientists, they study the cytology or they study the cell biology. And some study the histology. And some study, that means the tissues. And some study the anatomy and physiology. Right. By studying all these things about the human body, we get an idea about our body. Why do you want to get an idea about our body? Let it be there, no? You want to study all these things, cells and ecosystem, sorry, the histology and all these things. Why do we study? Why do you want to understand about our body? Why there is a medical faculty? Why there are doctors? Why do they pay salary for doctors and there we build hospitals and operation theaters and all these things? Yes. Cure diseases, yes. So we want to live longer. None of us like to die early. We want to live longer and we want to live healthy without any diseases. So we want to live without any diseases and we want to live longer. For those two reasons, we are going to study the human body and then we are trying, we are finding the solutions to get rid of diseases and to postpone the death. Right? So that is why we learn about the human body. Now, when you are learning the human body, we learn system wise. Right? So we learn the systems, organ systems. How many organ systems are there in the body? Right. She count the. At least she's intelligent. Last week I asked some questions, 6, 7. How many, Puta? So we have 9 systems. They are they are in the O levels, huh? So what are the systems now? Tell me 9 systems. Yes. What are the systems? Tell me. Give me a system. Huh? Digestive system, very good. Gastrointestinal system, yes, good. Nervous system, cardiovascular system, excretory system. Hmm? That is included to the cardiovascular system. Okay. The heart and the arteries and the veins are included to the one system. Reproductive system, most important system. Otherwise, you don't have the human being, right? Yes, what else? Respiratory system, excretory one. Yes. Skeletal system, good. Two more. The ladies get a physiological cycle every month. It is controlled by a system called, you have the menstrual cycle in every month, no? It is controlled by hormone. So the hormones are included. Oh, there are various types of hormones. Endocrine system. And one last one. No, that is included to the skeletal system. We have a defense defense army in our body. We have soldiers and all these things to fight any foreign bacteria or virus. They go and shoot them. That system is immune system, right? Immune system. We have the beta lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, and innate immunity, and all these things, right? Okay, so these are the systems. So we learn each and every system, their structure and the function. Then we get an idea about the whole human body, right? So that is the number 2 part, which is related to the biology. Okay, right. We'll go to the note. Number 2 is understanding human body and its function, right? So we study histology and anatomy of the human body, and there we gain the knowledge on structure of organs, right? Through that knowledge, we understand and appreciate the human body, which is made up of different organ systems, right? The relationship between the structure and the function, that is anatomy and the physiology, is understood by this means. The organ systems in our body, right? We'll write number 1, digestive system. Number 1, digestive system. Right. Okay, Akmal has given some answers. Good. Lymphatic system is not a different system, Pute, right? So it is related to the cardiovascular system, right? Number 1, digestive system, and number 2, cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular system. Number 3, respiratory system. Number 3, respiratory system. Number 4, immune system. Immune system. Number 5, excretory system. Excretory system. Number 6, nervous system. 6, nervous system. Number 7, endocrine system. Endocrine system. Number 8, reproductive system. Number 8, reproductive system. And number 9, skeletal system. Skeletal system. All right. Okay. So we discussed two areas relative to the human biology. Number one, we discussed about the biodiversity and three types of biodiversity: species, genetic, and ecosystem. And then we learned about the 9 systems of human body, that how we learn about the human body, right? So we'll move on to the number 3. Do you need any interval? You can carry on, no? Right. Okay. Toilet? Do anyone want to go to toilet? Let me know if you want. We can have a quick 10 minutes break. What do you prefer, Kuta? Do you want? Yes or no? Yes. Don't be ashamed. Me. We'll have. All right. Okay. So we'll have a break for about 10 minutes. Huh? It's 5 minutes to 5. We'll start at 5 past 5. Right? Okay. You have some refreshment and come. Can I get the tute? Yes, the tute is upload to the website also and also to this chat. You can get it from the website and also from this chat. Right? So you refresh your mind. Okay. Right. Now what we were discussing? We are discussing about the issues related to the biology, right? What is the number one we learn? We learn about the biodiversity, and then we learn about the human body, right? So the third thing that you are going to learn is about natural resources, right? Natural resources. What about natural resources? Sustainable use and management of natural resources. Now, what is this? Have you heard of this sustainable word? A lot of politicians are talking about the sustainable development of economy, sustainable development of infrastructure of Sri Lanka, likewise. What do you mean by sustainable? Good. Sustainable means it lasts for a long time. Sustainable economical development means that development lasts for a long. Now, if you are economically lost, right? If I am economically lost, what I can do is quickly I can go to the bank and get a loan. Is it sustainable? No, it don't. It is not sustainable for because for the first month you can have a rich life, go to any restaurant and have a dinner and any um, alcoholic bottle or whatever the thing you can enjoy. But from the next month you have to pay the debit. Right now, what Sri Lanka as a country also what we were doing is that thing. When we are in economic crisis, we get a loan. We get a loan from the IMF, World Bank, Asian Bank, get loan. So it is not a sustainable one. Likewise, sustainable means, Pute, it's a decision or whatever the thing that you do, it which it lasts permanently for a longer period, right? So natural resources you are going to manage sustainably, right? So what are natural resources? what you said is correct, right? So, and it adding something more is that natural resources you use it, allowing it to survive for longer time, right? Okay. So, what are natural resources? What are those so-called natural resources? Hmm. Can you give a definition for resources, natural resources? Resources? What do you mean by resource? Yes. Resource means sometimes now when girls and boys are starting these love affairs, sometimes the boy is a resource for her. And sometimes the girl is resource for him. That means you give whatever you want to your lover, right? So that is, if you need some reload, if you need something to have in the interval, you go and get a nice cafe and a burger. The boyfriend pays for it and gives chocolate for the Valentines and all the birthdays and all these things. When your money is finished, just put a message and he's reloading. So he's a resource. That means you give material and energy freely available, right? So natural resources means, natural means you don't want to pay and buy. They are freely available, right? Freely available. What? Either it is a material like water, soil, oil, right? Whatever the coal, stones, material, or a energy. Sunlight is a natural resource, right? Energy, right? So freely available material or a energy is the natural resource, right? So what we are going to do now then? So we are talking about a sustainable use of this thing. Why do you need to protect these natural resources and manage it to survive or to last for a longer period? Why we should talk about such such a topic? This is a very interesting topic in international forums, right? Now the natural resources that are available for us is depleting with time. The water, the soil, the whatever the thing, right? It has a tendency of depleting, right? If you take these diesel, petrol, and all these hydrocarbonic fuel, it is depleting. Why it is depleting? They are being used by us, human beings. What about the human population? With time, human population increasing, increasing like a rocket, right? So, in future generations, right, the number of population is increasing like a skyrocket, and the available natural resources are very limited. So, today we should plan and we should protect the natural resources available, which can be used for many, many generations. That topic is called as the sustainable use and management of natural resources, right? So if we do not manage these resources sustainably, wisely, effectively, what will happen in near future? These natural resources will be depleted and you will have some you have to face some issues, problems. What are those? You will have loss of biodiversity, right? And you can have environmental pollution. We'll take it as the first one. Environmental pollution, and because of that, you will get loss of biodiversity. And as the third one, you can have desert desertification. So these are the problems that we can have as human beings on earth if we do not manage the natural resources sustainably, right? You can have environment pollution, you can have loss of biodiversity. You know, when there is a now when human population is increased in, take a urbanized area, right? Take Candid city. What about the human population in Kandy city and in a village like Randenigala or Hasalaka, right? So they are the land area is very high in a village and human population is very low. But if you take the Kandy city, the human population is very high. The human density is very high. So in a small area, large number of people are living. So what about the environment pollution? It is so high, right? So what about the biodiversity? Can you see the beautiful birds and all these things who can see in a village, in that town? Only the crows are there in the market, right? So the biodiversity is lost, right? And desertification. You don't have important plants and other organisms which are very useful to make balance of the environment. So these are the issues that can have if you do not manage natural resources effectively, right? So this is the topic. What is the topic? We have natural resources available on this earth, and because of human population is rising like a skyrocket. What is the human population today? Yes, sorry, 2 billion? Not yet. 8.2 billion. But don't, this is the exact population for today. But according to a book, because the book has written in 2017, taking the values of 2004, so there it is 7 billion. So if they ask a question, um, they don't have what is the population. That sort of simple questions are not there in biology, but in somewhere you take 7 as the answer, right? So anyway, within about 40 years, this amount is going to be doubled, right? In 2048, as Ranil Wickremesinghe says, we have to wait for 2048 now, right, to develop this country. So at that time, the population of the world is doubled, right? 14. Now see what a accelerated rate of increasing the human population. But the available fresh water, available oxygen, available ozone layer, available hydrocarbon fuel, available everything is limited. So therefore, we have to protect it for the next generation and the future generations, right? So that is known as that area, that concept, that subject is called as the sustainable use and management of natural resources, which is very important for the survival of the human beings. Okay, right? So that is the third topic that we discussed, right? Any questions? These are interesting, very basic thing. Now, in the first unit, we are learning that these sort of very basic knowledge, vast knowledge about various branches and various aspects of biology is taken from this unit, right? Okay. This is the third one, which is related to the third issue that we are learning, which is related to the human biology, right? Okay. Take the note. Sustainable use and management of natural resources and environment, right? So natural resources are materials and energy. Natural resources are materials and energy. In the second line, you write found naturally on earth, found naturally on earth, found naturally on earth, which are used on everyday life, which are used on everyday life. Third point, and for the economic development, and for the economic development, and for the economic development, right? So these are the materials and energy found naturally on earth. You can't create those things, you can produce, they are naturally available, and you need those things in everyday life, right? You can't have water once in a 3 months or like that, but daily you need water, daily you need oxygen, daily you need sunlight, daily you need soil, daily you need these fuels, right? Everything. So those are needed everyday life, and most of the time these are responsible for the they have a economic value, right? Okay. So the examples: land, water, oil, coal, natural gases, metals, stone, sand, sunlight, and everything. Right. So increased growth rate of human population, natural resources are overused and causes threat of depletion of natural resources. Right. Because of this increment of human population and because of this limited availability of the natural resources, environmental problems arise due to over exploitation of natural resources. So what are those? Number one, environmental pollution. Environmental pollution. Number two, loss of biodiversity. Loss of biodiversity. Loss of biodiversity. Number three, desertification. Number three, desertification. Desertification. Musamil, we have uploaded the tute for twice for this chat, and also it is available in the website also, in Farade website, right? Try to get it, right? Okay. Uh, so in order to overcome above problems, management of natural resources and environment should be practiced. So knowledge on biology is very important to bring about remedies to above problems, right? So that is the third one that you are going to that you learn, right? Okay. The fourth issue that you are going to learn, right? So we are going to learn, we are learning the issues related to biology. Number one, what is the number one we learned? Biodiversity. What are the three types of diversity? Tell me quick, quick, quick. Species diversity. Ah, good. The second one that we learned, second scenario. Tell me. Look at it and tell me. Sorry? Human body. So in that case, we learned about the systems that we have to learn, and we learn, we get an idea by learning those 9 systems. Right. Number 3, we learned about hmm, sustainable use and management of natural resources. Right. Now, number 4 is again sustainable. Number 4 is sustainable food production. Now, why we want to talk about this sustainable food production? Same problem. Why we needed to sustainably protect and manage the natural resources? Because the human population is rising. Same scenario here, right? Human population is rising like this, and available food, if it is like this, in this place, in this era, the food is more than the required amount. But after some time, in 1960s, after rise, the amount of food that is produced daily on earth was not enough to supply the requirement of human beings. Therefore, what we had to do is we have to increase the food production also to meet the requirement of human beings. How you are going to do that? Now, when you are producing more and more foods for the more and more people on this earth without considering the quality and the safety of that food, what will happen? Yes, you will produce something, but you will have to face most of these harmful effects or the diseases caused by that food. So, number one is yes, you have to make more and more food, but those food should be made safely, environmentally safety and human biologically safety, right? So, for example, sometimes we want to increase the meat production in poultry, chicken, right? So, what we are doing, we are giving so much of hormones and some of the vitamin injections and all these things, and we are trying to get the chicken matured within, now how many days do they mature? Earlier it was 45 days. Now later it was 28 days. Now within about 15 days they are killing the chicken, right? So lot of hormones are used. Because of those hormones, we also, our hormone system, our endocrine system also get upset, right? So not going like that, right? So sustainable food production means few points you have to consider, right? Number one, yes, you have to increase the food production. For whom? For for whom you are going to produce the increase the food production? Hmm? For chicken, human beings. For human beings. By using what? By using environmentally safe methods. So this is sustainable food production. What is that? You increase the food production required for the increased human population by using environmentally and biomedically safe methods, right? So what are the measures that you can use to do this thing, to increase the food production which are needed for the human beings by using the environmentally safe products? How we are going to increase the food product? Very simple. Three basic things. What do you mean by food? Either it is the crop or the paddy crop or whatever the thing, it can be a plant, or else it can be a animal. These are the foods, no? What we eat, either we eat a plant product or either we eat an animal, right? So food means plants or animals, right? Now, how we are going to increase the food production is, number one thing that we can use is, now we know these DNA recombinant technology and genetic science and everything, right? So you can use that knowledge and produce high yielding plants and animals. So chicken comes in 15 days, high yield. Very few decades ago, the paddy they need 6 months to get mature. Now it is 3 months. So high yield within short time. So one of the method that you can use is, right, you can produce high yielding plants and animals, right? Then obvious, no, then production is increased, right? Number two, if this yield is high, right, you give a good crop within short period of time, but suddenly what you can experience is you can get some diseases to the either to the animals or to the plants. And what will happen? The food production is lost, yield is lost. So you produce high yielding plants and animals. Yes. Number two, those animals and plants should be disease resistant, right? They should have good immunity either to the plant or to the animal. So number two method that you use is you produce disease resistant plants or animals. So these are the two things that you can do. That's all. No, you produce high yielding plant or animal, or else plus, not or else, plus those animals and plants should be disease resistant. They are not getting infected easily, right? So now you have the crop, now you have the food product. What now you can do? Are you going to eat each and everything on that day? You have a tomato crop yield in 1 acre, right? So are you going to sell and all the customers going to eat it by today? No. Then your crop, your product, food product, you are going to protect it for a period of time. Then you can slowly consume that, isn't it? Right? That means post harvest. After the harvest means either if it is the chicken, you cut it and get it to the table, the meat, or if it is the paddy or the maize or the potato, whatever the thing, you get the crop. So post harvest, protective mechanism, right? Use the refrigerators. It's a post harvest protective mechanism, right? Either you use it, you make it, you get it pasteurized milk, you produce jam, you produce sausages, right? You disinfect these things and packet these things, right? All these things will protect and will give you a longer period for your consume. So these are the ways that you can practically increase the food production available for the human beings, right? So these are the few points that you have to know when you talk about the sustainable food production, right? Got it? Okay, right. So in sustainable food production, what do you mean by sustainable food production? Production of foods for the human beings by using environmentally protective or safe methods. How do you do that? You produce high yielding plants and animals, disease resistant plant and animals, and you protect the post harvest. Got it? Right. Okay. We'll write those things. Akmal, sir, those chickens genetically enhanced? Yes, of course. They're genetically modified. That is why they are uh, coming to the maturity. Not only the genetically modification, one thing is the genetical modification, the other one is the less physical exertion. They are not allowed to move. They are just now all the chickens are packed in one another. They have no way to move. Even you keep them, get them one chicken from the uh, this thing cage and put it in there, they can't walk. They don't know how to walk. They eat, right? The water and the food and everything given by the line system to the place that they are living, and you give hormones and vitamins and genetical modification. Right? That is the question asked from the online Akman. Right. So the fourth one is the sustainable food production. Sustainable food production means production of production of sufficient amount of foods, production of sufficient amount of foods. Second point, for whom? For human population. For human population. For human population. Third point, using environmentally safe methods. Using environmentally safe methods. Those are the 3 points, right? Production of sufficient amount of foods for the human population using environmentally safe methods is known as sustainable food production, right? So current human population is, take it as 7 billion, 7 billion, and this will be doubled in less than 40 years. Therefore, sustainable food production is no so necessary. Methods used to maintain sustainable food production using the biology knowledge. Now, what we are discussing, all these areas are right directly nourished by the knowledge in the biology. Right? Otherwise, you can't produce high yielding plants and animals. You can't produce disease resistant plants and animals. You should. Now, this is the development of biology. Right? So, methods number one, production of production of high yielding varieties. Production of high yielding varieties of plants and animals. Production of high yielding varieties of plants and animals. Number two, production of disease resistant varieties. Production of disease resistant varieties of plants and animals. Number three, improve the post harvest, improve the post harvest technological methods, technological methods. Right. So that is number four. Okay. In 5 minutes, shall we discuss one more? Okay. Right. Number five. It is bit related to this one. Number five. It is about understanding the plant life. Right. So why you do need to understand the plant life? Why it is so important as biology? You know, every organism on this earth, organism on this earth, two things are there. What are those two things? You have the non-living things and living organisms. Now I am considering about the living organisms. Now, if you take these living organisms, every living organism need two things, only two things to survive and live. What are those two things? Food, yes. Why do you get food? Now, do plants need food? No, animals need food. Heterotrophic ones need food, but autotrophic ones do not need food. But both of us need one thing, energy. Very good. Every organism on this earth need energy. For what? For the functions. I am talking, I am walking, I am acting, right? Everything is done. But for everything, I need energy. You are listening, you are writing, you are talking with your buddy and all these things, right? You are walking and everything need energy. Every organism, either unicellular, either multicellular, they need energy for functions. What is the second big one? Every organism need energy and what? Energy for the function. Now, who need
Reproduction.
organisms need energy? Now, can you see the organism? Either naked or microorganism? Yes. That means they have a structure. Now you can see me, no? You can see Panduka is there in front of you on the stage walking and right. So I have an energy? Yes. I am using that energy now. But if I die suddenly, still, can you see me? Why not? Yes, you can see. But then do you have, am I having the energy? No, that energy is gone. That is the death, right? So to use energy to perform function, you should have a structure. Plant has a structure, fungi has a structure, virus has a structure, animals and all these are having a structure. How this structure is made? It is made up of biomolecules. What are those biomolecules? As you have heard, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids, vitamins, right? All these are the biomolecules. Those are ones which make the bioorganism. You know, you have one common atom which act as the backbone of all these biomolecules. You take carbohydrates, it is there. Take proteins, it is there. Take lipids, it is there. Take nucleic acid, it is there. It makes the backbone, and only other atoms are attached to that thing and make the different types of morphology. What is that atom? Carbon. Good. So we need two requirements. We need energy for the functions. We need carbon to make the structure, right? So energy and carbon is supplied to the biosphere or the biological world by whom? By plants. How? By photosynthesis. So in photosynthesis, what they do is they absorb the energy in the sunlight, that is the light energy. They have the ability of absorbing that thing and convert that light energy to a chemical energy and store in biomolecules such as glucose. So energy is stored and the carbon structure is also made from the same scenario, same theory, photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is the most important mechanism on this earth. If there is no photosynthesis, there is no living body, right? So the energy and carbon production is given to the world, to the whole biosphere, right? All the food chains by the plants, right? So when you go to the sustainable food production, now the every food chain, the ultimate first step starts with the plant, not with a animal like chicken. So for the chicken also we have to give the maize, right? So then you have to increase the maize production and paddy production, right? So likewise, plant life is important in biologists as they are the ones who survive, who protect, who, who's, who let us to live on this earth. And in sustainable food production part, right? So what we can do to get a more and more yield is by two methods in plants. If the plants are grown for our food production basis, what we do is we produce high yielding plants, and second one, we produce disease resistant plants, right? Okay, right. So take the fifth one. Understanding the plant life, right? They are the primary producers in the world. All the animals, directly or indirectly, depend on plants. Human population increases with time, and thus productivity must be increased. Right? Therefore, understanding plant life is important in two things: producing high yielding plants, producing high yielding plants, Akmal has given that answer, right? Producing high yielding plants, and number two, disease resistant plants. Disease resistant plants. Right. So we will finish this thing from this point and we'll call it a day, right? So it is important now. Today, what we learn, the most important thing that we learn today is you identified your what target, right? What is your target? Say, tell it loud, man. Don't be ashamed. You should make the island rank, right? Keep the target as island rank or a district first, right? Number two, now you know what you have to do. You know you have a idea about the syllabus, right? You have 10 units and you know the weight of each unit. And thirdly, you know the time gap available for you, right? So you are available with 28 months, but we are planning it on 22 months, right? So gradually, slowly we learn with repeated unit revisions also, right? Number four, by the time we learn, by the time I am teaching, when you are learning, or when you go home and reading something else, or dealing with my note, or reading with the past papers, or whatever the thing. If you get any doubt or any question, any problem, any uh, doubtful place, any query, you ask from me, and I'll clarify it, right? While I am teaching, also you can interrupt me, right? So getting all these things into your mind, we started the first unit, and we got a basic idea about what is biology. We know the main three branches of the biology: zoology, botany, and microbiology. And we know main areas of biology with cell biology and all these histology, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, genetics, and ecology, right? And then we start learning about the basic main scenarios or events or issues related to the biology. So there you learn about the biodiversity, sustainable food production, sustainable use and management of the natural resources, and the human bodies and the plant life, right? So we are left with another two things about the diseases, and about what is the other thing, about the diseases, and the last one, yes, that is about diseases. That's all. That's all, right? Right. So then there are some another few topics that you have to learn in first unit. So we'll cover up those things in next week, and most probably we may able to start the unit 2, right? Okay. Any questions? Any feedback do you want to give me? Am I too fast or too slow, or any suggestions? If you can't tell it now, you can tell me at any time, right? So I hope all of you are having my WhatsApp number. If you have anything to ask, you can put a message. Note 7630999711. There is a question, Anishana sir, will we get the printed tute from next class, or will we get only the soft copy? Class is so interesting, sir. Thank you so much for that feedback. Anishana, yes, today's session is very interesting, right? Okay. So either thing can be done. If you are now, anyway, the soft copy is uploaded, right? Anyway, the soft copy is uploaded. And if you are nearby Kandy, you can get and collect the printed copy from the institute. And thirdly, if you are not in Kandy, some are, I know that some are from Gampaha and some are from Colombo. right? So, right, if you are so far away from Kandy, I can mail a printed copy also. So for that, you put a request for me for my personal number that you are living in here, and the details are needed. I need your postal address, so I can post it, right? So those are the three solutions that I can give. Any questions? I am from now. Right. Okay. You send me the postal address and I'll help you. Right. Physical guys. Any questions? No. Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Then we'll meet on next Friday at 3 p.m.